right, so it looks like we got some new Bricc baby paperwork. Now, this paperwork today is actually about an old gun case that he caught back in, I believe, 2023. He was released on a $35,000 bail and remained free up until March 19th, 2025, when he was arrested as part of Operation Drawdown, where they arrested him, Loose Cannon, Big U, the Rolling 60s. I'm sure y'all are familiar with it. Right now, over time, people have speculated online that maybe Bricc baby had done some talking because he hadn't faced any consequences for those charges. He was allowed to remain free even while he was under investigation by the feds for other crimes, right? And there's just a lot of mystery in the history of this charge. And today the clouds get a little bit thicker because it looks like that gun case has actually been pushed back. In this new paperwork that just came out, we learned that the trial that was originally scheduled for May 13th has been pushed back to October 14th, even though the Speedy Trial Act deadline was by May 28th. Both Bricc baby's legal team and the prosecutors agreed for this to happen. And in the paperwork, we learned that the government has over 5 gigabytes of discovery that's already been produced, and they have even more pending, including more wiretaps. Right, so let's go ahead and get into the paperwork. We got this right here. You can see United States of America versus Zahir Mitchell. It says stipulation regarding request for continuance of trial date and findings of excludable time periods pursuant to a Speedy Trial Act. It says the United States of America, by and through its counsel of record, and defendant Zahir Mitchell, both individually by and through their counsels of records, hereby stipulate the follow: that 1, the indictment in this case was filed on February 26, 2025. Bricc baby first appeared before a judicial officer of the court in which the charges in this case were pending on March 19, 2025. The Speedy Trial Act originally required that the trial commence on or before May 28, 2025. 2, on March 19, 2025, the court set a trial date of May 13th and a status conference date of May 2nd. Bricc baby is detained pending trial. The parties estimate that the trial in this matter will last approximately 2 to 3 days. By this stipulation, Bricc baby moves to continue the trial date to October 14, 2025, and the status conference date to October 3rd, 2025. This is the first request for a continuance. So that's interesting. He's never had a continuance before, but also has never been tried for this crime. It says defendant requests the continuance based upon the following facts, which the parties believe demonstrate good cause to support the appropriate findings under the Speedy Trial Act. Defendant Bricc baby is charged with violations of 18 U.S.C. 922, felon in possession of firearms and ammunition. The government has produced over 5 gigabytes of discovery to the defense, including law enforcement reports, search warrants and returns, criminal history documents, recordings, and photographs. The government is in the process of producing voluminous wiretap recordings to the defense as well. Bricc baby's counsel is presently scheduled to be in the below described trial, as well as various sentencing hearings in other matters, including on May 5th, 2025 at 9 a.m. for this other guy, May 16th for this person, and apparently that person's case will be a highly contested sentencing and would directly conflict with Bricc baby's current trial date of May 16th. They then go on to lay out a bunch of other cases that his counsel is going to be working on up and through June. Accordingly, his lawyer represents that she will not have the time that she believes is necessary to prepare and be available to try this case on the current trial date. They then lay out some more details about the work that the attorney is going to be doing. It says, in light of the foregoing, counsel for Bricc baby also represents that additional time is necessary to confer with Bricc baby, conduct and complete an independent investigation of the case, conduct and complete additional legal research, including for potential pretrial motions, review the discovery and potential evidence in the case, and prepare for trial in the event that a pretrial resolution does not occur. Bricc baby's lawyer represents that failure to grant the continuance would deny her reasonable time necessary for effective preparation, taking into account the exercise of due diligence. Bricc baby believes that failure to grant the continuance will deny him continuity of counsel and adequate representation. So he's basically saying, if y'all don't allow this continuance to happen and y'all force me to switch lawyers or something, I'm going to complain that I'm not getting adequate representation because I want my lawyer to handle the case. It says the government does not object to the continuance. The requested continuance is not based on congestion of the court's calendar, lack of diligent preparation on part of the attorney for the government or the defense, or failure on the part of the attorney for the government to obtain available witnesses. cases. For purposes of computing the date under the Speedy Trial Act by which Bricc Baby's trial must commence, the parties agree that the time period of May 13, 2025 to October 14, 2025 inclusive should be excluded pursuant to this law because the delay results from a continuance granted by the court at a defendant's request without government objective and on the basis of the court's finding that the ends of justice served by the continuance outweigh the best interest of the public and the defendant in a speedy trial. 2, failure to grant the continuance would likely to make a continuation of proceedings impossible or in a miscarriage of justice, and failure to grant the continuance would unreasonably deny Bricc Baby continuity of counsel and would deny defense counsel the reasonable time necessary for effective preparation, taking into account the exercise of due diligence. Nothing in this stipulation shall preclude a finding that other provisions of the Speedy Trial Act dictate that additional time periods be excluded from the period within which the trial must commence. Moreover, the same provisions and or other provisions of the Speedy Trial Act may in the future authorize the exclusion of additional time periods from the period within which the trial must commence. Basically, Bricc Baby's attorney isn't prepared, right? His attorney left this statement right here. I'm Zahir Mitchell's attorney. I have carefully discussed every part of this stipulation and the continuance of the trial date with my client. I have fully informed my client of his speedy trial rights. To my knowledge, my client understands those rights and agrees to waive them. I believe that my client's decision to give up the right to be brought to trial earlier than October 14, 2025 is an informed and voluntary one. Right now, this can be a risky move for Bricc Baby, and I'll tell you why. Because doing this allows the government more time to build their case, to make their investigation stronger. From what I understand, they already have a pretty strong case, so maybe Bricc Baby's thing is, it doesn't matter because they may already have all the evidence they need. They got wiretaps and stuff. But in America, you do have the right to a speedy trial, but he's saying that his attorney just isn't going to have time to review everything. And that makes sense because the government says they gave up 5 gigabytes of data and evidence, which is crazy, right? So they requested this. The court did actually grant this. We got this document here. It says the court has read and considered the stipulation regarding request for 1, continuance of trial date, and 2, findings of excludable time periods pursuant to the Speedy Trial Act. The court hereby finds that the stipulation, which this court incorporates by reference into this order, demonstrates facts that support a continuance of the trial date in this matter and provides a good cause for a finding of excludable time pursuant to the Speedy Trial Act. The court further finds that the ends of justice served by the continuance outweigh the best interest of the public and defendant in a speedy trial, and 2, failure to grant the continuance would likely to make a continuation of the proceedings impossible. The court, having considered the party stipulation and finding good cause, therefore hereby orders the following. The trial in this matter is continued from May 13, 2025 to October 14, 2025 at 8:15. The pretrial conference hearing is continued to October 3rd. The time period of April 25th to October 14th is excluded in computing the time within which the trial must commence. All right, so it has been successfully pushed back. Now, I've seen some people out there already questioning, because he got it pushed back, does that mean that he's talking? Does that mean that he's snitching? And I'm gonna be real, there's nothing in this paperwork that indicates Bricc Baby has talked, at least not to get this continuation. It really does truly just seem like his lawyer needs more time due to the massive amount of evidence that they have against Bricc Baby, which is not a good thing for Bricc Baby at all. But that's what we got, man. That's the paperwork. I know some other people are gonna be reading it, things like that. They might start talking about they think Bricc Baby is snitching. If that's what they tell y'all, man, they lying to y'all. But for now, like I said, that's what we got. That's the video. Y'all gotta let me know what y'all think about this though, because y'all might feel a different way, and let me know if you do in the comments down below. Anyways, that's basically it for the video, guys. If you enjoyed the content, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, tap the notification bell so you get notified every time I upload a video. As always, it's been fun rocking with y'all, man. I'm out.